Qiang Jin Jiu. Book 1, I Was an Outcast Liege. Chapter 16, Storm. The wind rose a while later, followed by the rainfall. Xiao Qiye braved the rain and galloped his horse through it. He arrived at the Imperial Academy just in time to hear Gao Zhongxiang shouting with his head raised. As long as the traitor is not executed, the wrath of the public will not be appeased. The students at the back kowtowed and echoed in unison. As long as the traitor is not executed, the wrath of the public will not be appeased. The rain spattered upon the earth, soaking the students' robes and hair. Xiao Qiye reined in his horse, and the horse trod its hooves on the same spot. He looked at them for a moment, then said in a loud voice, "What have you been doing earlier? If all of you gentlemen here had kneeled to make your case back then when that surviving Shen descendant first entered the capital, then he would never have lived to this day." Gao Zongxiang's chest heaved. He said, "Viceroy, as they say, it's better to be late than never. This surviving Shen descendant is still wet behind the ears, and he has yet to spread his wings. As long as His Majesty is willing to retract his order and deal with him severely, it will still be a consolation to all the loyal souls of Zongbo. There is absolutely no reason to rescind an imperial edict of the Son of Heaven." Xiao Qiye said, "By kneeling, you are not beseeching His Majesty to revoke his decree but forcing him into it. The various gentlemen here are all loyal and filial men of the world. There are 100 ways you can use to make your appeal, so why insist on making such an unwise move? Your Excellency." Gao Zhongxiang looked up. Men who wield brushes die in remonstrations, while men who wield swords die in battles. If we have to watch helplessly as His Majesty is deceived into handling affairs in such a muddle-headed way, then we might as well spill our blood on the imperial terrace tonight and die for our beliefs." Xiao Qiye said, using the threat of death at every turn. "Is that all civil servants since ancient times are capable of?" The rain intensified but the students still did not budge. Xiao Qiye dismounted and squatted before Gao Zhongxiang. The heavy rain poured like a waterfall. He leaned in and asked, "Who is the instigator?" With a look of great resolve, Gao Zhongxiang said, "My loyalty to my sovereign is what drives me." Giving off the air of a ruffian, Xiao Qiye said, "I don't think so. Of course, if you want to protect an outsider, you can. It's just that your action tonight has implicated all those 3,000 fellow students behind you. If the emperor flies into a rage and turns tonight into a bloodbath, then you will be no different from that last descendant of the Shen clan. All of you will be sinners condemned through the ages. And this isn't even the scariest thing. What's worse is that His Majesty would still be unwilling to rescind his edict even if your head rolls. You persevered in your studies despite the hardships for 12 years, all just to do the dirty work for another." Gao Zhongxiang lifted his arm and wiped away the rainwater on his face. He said, "What I'm doing is a matter of loyalty and righteousness. It's completely different from the Shen clan's traitorous act. Even if all 3,000 of us were to die here tonight, even if our blood were to overflow the imperial terrace, we are doing it all for His Majesty." Xiao Qiye said, "The situation now is that the palace has neither withdrawn its order for Shen Zequan to take up post, nor have they sent out an imperial edict to appease the students. Do you still not understand His Majesty's intention from this? For each day His Majesty does not retract his decree." Gao Zhongxiang persisted, "We will neither eat, rise, nor retreat." The thunderstorm rumbled. Xiao Qiye rose to his feet. Chen Yang wanted to hold up an umbrella for him but he raised his hand to stop him. Rain seeped into his robe. Even the token hanging on his waist was dripping water. "Viceroy!" Chen Yang suddenly spoke in a soft voice. "The Jin Yue are here." Xiao Qiye turned his head back in the rain and saw Qiao Tianya arriving on his horse. The latter dismounted and cupped his fists together from afar to pay his respect. A sudden commotion rose among the students when they saw the Red Cavalry. "This is a thorny issue. It wouldn't do to trouble the Viceroy over it?" Qiao Tianya held onto his blade and smiled. One of the Jin Yi is the target here. So naturally, the Jin Yi should be the one to resolve this ourselves. Resolve. Xiao Qiye raised his arm almost thoughtlessly and placed it on Qiao Tianya's shoulder. He said, "How does the judge of the imperial prison intends to resolve this matter? They are just a bunch of unarmed students. There's no need to trouble the Jin Yi over them. The emperor is the highest authority in the Chu capital." Qiao Tianya looked askance at him. Whoever has the gall to defy his majesty's orders are the enemies of the Jin Yi. Xiao Qiye looked at him right in the eyes. After a moment, both men burst into laughter. "My man," Xiao Qiye said. "You are brave. It's raining hard and cold." Qiao Tianya tightened his grip on his blade and said, "I'll send someone to escort you back to your residence. I just arrived a moment ago." Xiao Qiye's hand remained on Qian Tianya's shoulder to hold his arm, which was grasping the hilt of his blade, in place. He was still smiling as he said, "There's no harm in staying a little longer." Qiao Tianya said, "This matter is a difficult one. Why muddy the waters?" Xiao Qiye said, "It's precisely because it's tough to handle that we can't get rid of them all at once. These students are all great minds of the state. None of us can take responsibility for it if there's one of them less." The man dismounting his horse at the back was dressed in a thin, wide-sleeved garment. He did not carry a blade with him. Placed in between the pack of the Jin Yi, he stood out conspicuously like a sore thumb. Qiao Tianya loosened his grip on his blade and shouted, "Lanzhou, come here." Shenzhequan turned around and exchanged glances with Xiao Qiye. Qiao Tianya leisurely shifted Xiao Qiye's arm away and said, "The viceroy's worry is valid. However, the Jin Yi don't merely know how to ram our way through our jobs. I still have some other arrangements on my end. In a while, the emperor's order will arrive." "Oh. Both of you are old friends, aren't you? Lanzhou, stay here with the viceroy for a moment. He's scared." Shenzhequan gathered his sleeves and looked at the students in the rain. Xiao Qiye took a few glances at him and commented, "Your authority token has been hung up pretty fast." Shenzhequan said, "Second young master Xiao's token has been returned pretty fast, too." Xiao Qiye's expression was cold, but he smiled as he spoke. "You may seem to be the target of this matter, but the truth is that the real target is the palace." "So, is that how is it? Because your gains were too little yesterday, you have to stir up trouble the moment you get out of your cage." Shenzhequan tilted his head slightly and looked at him with pure, kind eyes. He said, "Second young master Xiao thinks too highly of me. Where on earth would I have the capability to stir things up? Since the target is the palace, then wouldn't second young master Xiao know better than myself, who currently harbor the most desire to see his majesty fall out with the Hua clan?" Xiao Qiye said, "I don't get what you mean. Talking in roundabout ways are all beyond my understanding." Shenzhequan smiled at him and said, "We are old acquaintances, you don't have to stand on ceremony with me." Xiao Qiye did not answer him. Instead, he offhandedly lifted a finger to flick Shenzhequan's authority token. He said, "The domesticated elephant's office is a good place. You must be happy, huh?" "I am." Shenzhequan said, "It just happens that I have some experience in taming ferocious beasts." "Not really an experience," Xiao Qiye said. "That was a deep conversation between the same kind. How would I dare to call it such?" Shenzhequan coughed softly and said, "If the talks break down and I receive yet another kick, then wouldn't all my previous efforts go to waste? Use your teeth then." Xiao Qiye took the umbrella from Chen Yang's hand and held it up above his head. At the same time, he blocked Shenzhequan and said, "You have a sharp tongue and a smart mouth, don't you? So, what are you afraid of?" "I value my life." Shenzhequan sighed as if with emotion. As they said, the kindness of a drop of water given in times of need should be repaid multifold with a gushing spring. There is so much more I wish to repay second young master Xiao with. Have you gotten the wrong person? Xiao Qi scoffed. That can't be. Shen Zequan cast a sidelong glance at Xiao Qi and said calmly to him, I know you. Fine, then. Xiao Qi looked askance at him as well and said, I want to see how much I owe you, too. The voices outside the umbrella were cut off. Both men stood shoulder to shoulder, accentuating the height difference between them. Actually, there is no way you can stay out of this matter. Xiao Qi gazed at the students in the rain. If one dies tonight, there will naturally be someone who will lay the blame on you. There will only be more and not less of the 40,000 souls who have died unjust deaths. Shen Zequan played it down. Since they are afraid of death, then why be someone else's weapon? Even if someone wants to pin this on me, it doesn't mean I have to plead guilty to it, do I? Both men fell silent again. Qiao Tianya sat astride under the shed and cracked melon seeds. Seeing as it was almost time, he shook the seeds off his robe and rose to his feet. Sure enough, he saw a sedan chair coming towards them amidst the dark of the night. The curtain lifted. Unexpectedly, it was Pan Rugui who came. A little eunuch supported Pan Rugui with a hand, while Jilei followed at the side holding up an umbrella for him. Wearing his official court robes with a Yandun hat on his head, Pan Rugui let Qiao Tianya lead him to the students. Such a heavy downpour. Qiao Tianya reined in his smile and said, to think they actually sent the director to grace us with your presence. Pan Rugui looked askance at Gao Zhongxiang and asked Qiao Tianya, did they not agree to retreat? Qiao Tianya replied, scholars are all bull-headed. They are neither enticed by the carrot nor browbeaten by the stick. Then, I'm afraid the stick isn't hard enough. Pan Rugui had lost his right-hand man yesterday and he had nowhere to vent all his pent-up anger. With the little eunuch supporting him, he came to stand before Gao Zhongxiang. You are all men who are well read in the classics and literature. How is it that you can't understand the words overstepping your authority? The affairs of the imperial court are to be discussed in the imperial court itself. It is not something brats like you who are still wet behind the ears can influence. On seeing this well-known lackey of the Hua faction, Gao Zhongxiang could not help but straighten his back and say, every man has a duty to his country. Since the Imperial Academy students receive a stipend from the sovereign, then they must serve him loyally. Treacherous sycophants abound all around His Majesty now. If we still don't. Treacherous sycophants. Pan Rugui laughed coldly. What a fine way to put it. Who instigated you to slander the imperial court and malign His Majesty? A loyal. Cut the crap. Pan Rugui suddenly commanded, you act upon the instigation of those with sinister motives and publicly defy the imperial decree. You incite your clique to slander the imperial court and the people. If this man goes unpunished, then what's the use of the law? Men, take him down. Gao Zhongxiang had never expected Pan Rugui to be so daring that he would indiscriminately take others down. He immediately braced himself in the rain and shouted himself hoarse, who dares to? I was chosen by His Majesty himself to study at the Imperial Academy. The villain stands before us, and eunuchs endanger the state. The Empress Dowager wields control over the state affairs and refuses to return governance to its rightful master. The ones who should be taken down are treacherous ministers and traitors like you. Drag him away. Jilei immediately said in reproach when he saw Pan Rugui was enraged. The Jin Yue stepped forward to drag him away. Gao Zhongxiang's attempt to climb to his feet was thwarted. He raised his arms in the direction of the palace and shouted, my death today is truly a remonstration to the death. Since the eunuch wants to kill me, then let him kill. Your Majesty. Qiao Tianya gripped Gao Zhongxiang by the neck. Unable to breathe, the latter struggled and shouted intermittently. Your Majesty, the treacherous ministers are in power. Then, what's the point of loyalty and righteousness? Xiao Qi said inwardly to himself, oh fuck. What happened next was just as he expected. Sorrow and indignation ran high among the 3,000 students. Life and death had no place here right this instant, as it was forced out by this vehement elegy. Rising to their feet in the rainstorm, the students charged at the Jin Jiu. Eunuchs endanger the state. They pulled their Zaoan bags off their waists and flung them at Pan Rugui. Bitter cries rang out. Treacherous sycophants are in power. Jilei hurriedly shielded Pan Rugui and guarded him as he ushered the old eunuch back in a retreat. He chided them furiously, "What are you doing? Staging a rebellion. This is the real traitor to the nation." The students threw themselves against the Jin Jiu as the Jin Jiu held them back. Their fingers almost jabbed Jilei's face, while specks of saliva sprayed towards them. "Traitor! Traitor!" Xiao Qi swiftly tossed the umbrella to Shenzequan and hurried down the stairs. Shenzequan stood alone on high ground and watched the chaos with cold detachment. Pan Rugui had been shoved back into his sedan, and Jilei even lost his shoe in the melee. Storms are rife in the martial fraternity. From a distance away, Shenzequan said softly to Jilei, "Your Excellency Ji, what a truly wonderful sight." A chuckle rose from under the umbrella. He leisurely turned the umbrella and looked at Xiao Qi's back. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Grand Tutor Qi and Ji Gang were drinking wine and tea under the eaves. Ji Gang drank his tea and said, "Was killing Xiao Fusui a ploy to let Chuan air out?" Grand Tutor Qi took small sips of the wine as though he could not bear to drink it. He hugged the gourd and said, "Who knows? Make a guess yourself." Ji Gang turned around and said, "No matter what, his safety is the most important." Grand Tutor Qi shook the gourd and said, "It is only by making a risky move that a soldier can take his foe by surprise. You taught him martial arts so that he could stay calm in hours of peril. Sometimes, we have to put safety aside. It is only when you leave no room for maneuver or escape that one will put up a desperate fight for survival and emerge victorious." Ji Gang watched the rain intensify with a worried frown and said, "I have already made proper arrangement for the task you entrusted me with. This is called casting a long line." Grand Tutor Qi scratched his foot. "If you don't let it brave the water for a few years before you haul in the net, then all you will catch are lousy fishes and prawns. Should there came a day when you and I both lose our lives in the midst of this, the arrangement today will be the killer move that will preserve his life." End chapter. Note: Red Cavalry, a subordinate of the Jin Jiu composed of mounted cavalries that wear red uniforms and are commonly guarded escorts of an official's retinue or entourage. Qiang Jin Jiu. Book 1, I Was an Outcast Liege. Chapter 17, Turmoil. It was in the middle of the night that the Empress Dowager draped her clothes over herself and asked through the bed canopy, "What's that commotion about?" Hua Xiangyi nudged the canopy aside and helped the Empress Dowager out of the incense-scented and warmed bedding. She replied in a soft voice, "The students of the Imperial Academy want the Emperor to retract his appointment edict." The Empress Dowager got up, and the maidservants on both sides quietly lit the lamps and raised the curtains. Hua Xiangyi helped the Empress Dowager to the arhat bed with a girdled waist, horse's hooves, legs and plain boards at the sides. A soft cushion and heater were presented together to the Empress Dowager, while fermented milk was warmed up for her. The Empress Dowager stirred the spoon with a light frown on her face. How did that happen all of a sudden? She pondered it over for a moment. The appointment order was only given yesterday and they came to stir up a ruckus tonight. Isn't that way too fast? What's more, the ones creating a commotion are those from the Imperial Academy. Hua Xiangyi went along with the Empress Dowager and said, "Auntie, all the literary talents in the world look to the Imperial Academy. Even the Secretariat Elder himself would find it ill-advised to step in." The Empress Dowager scooped up the fermented milk. Although her face that was free of cosmetic showed signs of aging, it added character to her looks. She gradually put aside the bowl and leaned back against the cushion to stare at the glazed lampshade. After a short while, she said, "That's right. Shen Wei is now notorious for his crime. By all sentiment and logic, the Secretariat Elder cannot come forward to rebuke the students. If the students force His Majesty to rescind his order, then I'll have to swallow this bitter pill in silence this time. Auntie. Hua Xiangyi said, it wasn't His Majesty's original intent to release Shen Zequan. Now that he has earned himself the infamy of being muddle-headed for no reason because of this order, I'm afraid it will create a distance between you both. It doesn't matter. The Empress Dowager said, once Imperial concubine Wei is with child Great Zhou will have an heir. The Imperial heir is the foundation of the Empire. As long as I have the heir in my hands, I'm still the Empress Dowager of Great Zhou. His Majesty has long been at odds with me ever since he fell ill. Even if he flies into a rage this time, it's merely a tantrum thrown during a moment of illness. Let him vent. After he became ill, Emperor Xiand gradually stopped going along with the Empress Dowager's will. Although these were all trivial daily matters, it was already an indication of his dissension. The Empress Dowager had assumed command in the palace with Pan Rugui at her side and Secretariat Elder Hua in the imperial court. If she wanted to ensure the continuation of the burgeoning power and authority of the Hua clan, then she needed a submissive and obedient emperor. If Emperor Xiand could no longer fit the role, then all she had to do was to replace him. The sole reason the Empress Dowager did not like Prince Chu, Liege Unhung, was because he had already come of age. He was not a weak child, nor was he a child who had grown up under her. How could such a person, if he were to ascend to the throne, be as obedient as an imperial grandson raised by her? What's more, the appeal today is a blow to His Majesty's dignity. The Empress Dowager said calmly, the 9 years His Majesty has been on the throne, his food and clothing, as well as all other matters, whether important or trivial, have to go through me. But now, he wants to be an independent and imperious emperor. For this, he emboldened himself to show goodwill to the Xiao clan. Not only did he refuse to release Shen Zequan, he even wanted to protect Prince Chu. But I understand him. He is outwardly strong and inwardly weak. He fears me. That's why he always aimed to be on both parties' good sides. Instead, he appears to be of two minds, and ends up thoroughly offending both parties. Didn't His Majesty imprison Shen Zequan for so many years for the sake of the Xiao clan? What does imprisonment mean? The Empress Dowager took Hua Xiangyi's hand and said solemnly, imprisonment is a reprieve from death. His Majesty thought he did a favor to the Xiao clan, but he's really just sowing the seed of disaster. Xiao Jiming lost his younger brother. What Liege wants is for Shen Zequan to die. As long as Shen Zequan remains alive, His Majesty will let down all those 120,000 armored cavalry who came to his rescue. Think about it. Xiao Jiming worked himself to the bone all to prove that he harbors no thoughts of disloyalty. He even dares to leave his younger brother behind in the Chu capital. He has conducted himself with frankness and sincerity towards His Majesty. Yet, in order not to offend me, His Majesty turned around and dismissed Shen Zequan's death penalty and locked him up instead. If Shen Zequan doesn't die, he will become the root of trouble. This is the period of the struggle between life and death, and yet His Majesty is still so naive. And need I mention the incident this time? To protect Prince Chu, His Majesty was not willing to launch a full investigation into Xiao Fusui's case and consequently cut off Pan Rugui's subsequent move. At the same time, he's afraid I'd harbor ill feelings against him, so he reluctantly let Shen Zequan off. He thought the Xiao clan would understand his difficulties, but Xiao Jiming is far away in Liege. Once he learns about this matter, he will not be happy. If that's the case, Hua Xiangyi said, could it have been someone from the Xiao clan who incited the Imperial Academy students to stir up trouble? Forcing His Majesty to rescind his edict this time would not only drive a wedge between His Majesty and the Hua clan, it would also prevent the Secretariat Elder and Auntie from stepping forward. At the same time, it can also eliminate Shen Zequan through the hands of another. If it's so clear-cut, The Empress Dowager brushed aside Hua Xiangyi's stray hair and said dotingly, "Then what's the need for Xiao Jiming to be one of the 4 generals of the world? That lad has always been prudent in his conduct. If he were the perpetrator, he would not be found out this easily. Besides, Liege has no dealings with the Imperial Academy. I can't guess." Hua Xiangyi leaned against the Empress Dowager and said like a pampered child, "Tell me, Auntie." "All right." The Empress Dowager was childless this life and she was not close to those on her maternal grandparents' side. The only one she doted on was Hua Xiangyi. She said, "Auntie will teach you. Look at the surrounding 8 cities established beyond the Chu capital. The 8 cities are where the current 8 great clans originated. Our Hua clan resides in the Di city at the south of the capital. It has always been the city of choice for imperial concubines. But it's only during my time that the Hua clan was considered to be at the height of its glory and came out on the top amongst the 8 great clans. A few years earlier, when the former emperor had only just ascended to the throne, it was the Yao clan who was the most favored and honored. This was because the Yao clan that had been conferred as the emperor's tutor thrice. If it weren't for old Master Yao's lack of literary talents during his time, that Qi Huilian from Yu province might not even get to be the grand tutor of Yanji. Moreover, of the current Qi clan, only Shi Guan has been promoted to the post of commander-in-chief of the 8 great training divisions to manage the younger generations of the 8 great clans. Just think of him as a teacher of the military camps. The Shi clan has always been men of inferior morals and virtues. They will not achieve great things. Meanwhile, the Shui clan has already begun its decline after the glorious death of Grand Master Shui. Shui Zhuo is the only one now who has an official post in the central administration. As for the remaining Wei, Pan, Fei, and Han clans, I'll tell you about them next time. I've heard father mention these before. Hua Xiangyi said, "So Auntie is telling me these to suggest that the secret instigator of the Imperial Academy this time might be someone else from the 8 great clans." "That's what I suspect," the Empress Dowager said. "Glory is enjoyed in turn. It has been many years since the Hua clan has enjoyed its rise following my ascent. It's possible for someone to harbor some other intent on seeing how gravely ill His Majesty is now. Summon Pan Rugui over tomorrow morning and let him have the Jin Yue conduct a thorough investigation in secret. The Chu capital is such a big place. I don't believe there is not a single loose lip within it." *******. Xiao Qi wrung away the water on his clothes and entered Mingli Hall together with Ji Lei. It was already late at night but Emperor Xiand was still awake. "You were supposed to be in confinement to self-reflect on the errors of your ways." Emperor Xiand held a memorial as he glanced at Xiao Qiye and asked in a hoarse voice, "So why are you running around with the Jin Yue?" Xiao Qiye was really wronged. He said, "The commander-in-chief was the one who asked this humble subject to go. This humble subject thought that it was your Majesty's verbal orders. After you went," Emperor Xiand asked, "how did it go?" Ji Lei immediately kowtowed and said, "Replying to your Majesty, the students of the Imperial Academy acted upon someone else's instigation and not only spoke presumptuously on state affairs and slandered your Majesty but also lay their hands on Pan Gong. The scene was a chaotic mess. This humble subject wanted to take them into custody but Viceroy Xiao was unwilling to. And he wasn't just unwilling. That imperial army was simply cast in the same mold as Xiao Qiye. They had acted shamelessly to obstruct the Jin Yue to prevent them from rounding up the students. All that was left of them was to lie on the floor and roll around. This bunch of idle military ruffians sure had skins as thick as the city wall." Emperor Xiand asked Xiao Qiye, "Why did you obstructed the Jin Yue from arresting the students?" Xiao Qiye said, "They are just a group of students. If they are really taken to the imperial prison, most of them might not survive. We can disregard their lives but what are we to do if it damages your Majesty's virtuous name? They banded together for selfish purposes and colluded with malicious people. They clearly intended to throw the imperial court into chaos. If we do not take these kinds of people to trial, then what's the use of the Jinyi Wei in the future? Jilei said indignantly. Emperor Xian coughed for a long time before he said, Qian has done well. Your Majesty. Jilei could not believe it. This group of students rallied to stir up trouble. They even dared to shout the word rebellion. If we do not deal with them severely, it will endanger the empire and state. I'll be frank. Emperor Xian said in a lukewarm tone. If they hadn't been forced to this pivotal moment, why would they come to blows with the Jinyi Wei and yell such words instead of attending classes? That remaining descendant of the Shen clan should have never been released. If it weren't for. Emperor Xian cast aside the memorial and started to cough. He was back to normal after his coughing eased up a little. No matter what, they have to be punished. Reduce the Imperial Academy's fund for provisions by half and change their meals from twice a day to once a day only. Impose this punishment on them for half a year. Knowing that Emperor Xian had already made up his mind, Jilei said nothing more. He kneeled in silence, but Emperor Xian knew what he was thinking. The Jinyi Wei are dogs of mine. Emperor Xian stared at Jilei, as the commander-in-chief of the Jinyi Wei. Why are you going around acknowledging others as your godfather, god-grandfather? I have never brought this up on account that you were still considered deferential. Tonight, I want you to appease the students of the Imperial Academy. Do you understand? Jilei kowtowed and said, This humble servant obeys. The Jinyi Wei only serve your majesty. By the time they came out, the rain had already lightened. A little eunuch from the bailiff office came to hold up umbrellas for both of them. Jilei did not look good as he raised his hand at Xiao Qiye and made to leave. But Xiao Qiye was unconcerned as he said, Liege, I had no choice, too. I was grounded yesterday. Even if I wanted to come out and play, I wouldn't dare to lay a hand on the students without careful consideration. Looking at how much of a jerk Xiao Qiye was, made Jilei furious, but there was nowhere for him to vent, so he merely nodded his head at random, hoping that Xiao Qiye would leave. But what do you think of my imperial army? Xiao Qiye took the umbrella from the little eunuch's hand and dismissed him. He continued to head out of the palace with Jilei. Jilei thought, what else? Aren't they all nothing more than a bunch of scoundrels? They are even worse off now that they are following you. However, he replied politely, they seem to be much more spirited than before. Isn't that right? Xiao Qiye said shamelessly, I think the Imperial Army's drill ground is too small to be put to good use. Can you ask the Commander-in-Chief on my behalf if he could allocate a place for the Imperial Army? Jilei had heard a long time ago that Xiao Qiye had led the Imperial Army to play polo at the drill ground. He never expected the latter to have the guts to ask for more land. But it wasn't good for him to turn the latter down right in the face, so he said, I'm afraid that would be difficult. Prince Chu expanded his residence last month and his forcible seizure of civilians' residences had even been reported to the prefectural yamen. There are people everywhere in the Chu capital now, so where is Guan going to find the place for you to use as a military drill ground? Besides, even if there's a spot in the city, it has to be granted to the 8 training divisions. Oh. Xiao Qiye said under the umbrella, even if it isn't the turn of our imperial army to get a piece of land within the city, we can also make do with land outside of it. As long as the place is big enough to let us play to our heart's content. It was then Jilei grasped the intent of his words. He looked at Xiao Qiye and laughed. He said, all right, second young master Xiao. You've long taken a fancy to a piece of land, haven't you? So, why still play dumb with me? I'm already here to ask you for a favor, am I not, Liege? Xiao Qiye said, you're the one people give face to the most in the Chu capital. How would the commander-in-chief turn you down if you put in a request to him? We can negotiate if it's a done deal. There's no need to talk about money with me. Jilei finally softened his attitude. I've acknowledged a godson, and I was just wondering where to find a good horse for him. When it comes to horses, there's no one who is more knowledgeable than the second young master Xiao, is there? I'll send him a few horses to play with. Xiao Qiye said, the horses bred from the Hanjian mountains are no worse than mine. In a few days, I'll send someone to deliver them directly to your residence. I'll speak to Guan. Jilei said. How big can the matter of a drill ground be? Just wait for my news to come. The rain had stopped by the time both men parted ways. Xiao Qiye got into the horse carriage. Chen Yang looked at Jilei's sedan and said, is the viceroy really going to give the residence's horses to him? What a pity. There's no such thing as free lunch. Xiao Qiye kicked off his boots. His feet had long been soaked. We need to have a drill ground. It's too conspicuous in the capital. If that old crook can't deliver after accepting the horses, he said coldly, then I'll send his godson to meet his ancestors. The carriage began to sway. Xiao Qiye wiped his face with a handkerchief and asked, where is that man? Chen Yang repeated, that man. Shenzhequan. He went back a long time ago. Chen Yang poured tea for Xiao Qiye and said, his steps seem weak and unstable to me. With that kind of health, how is he going to take up a post in the Jinyi Way? Rearing elephants. Xiao Qiye took the tea and gulped it all down. Invalids are only too anxious to dodge manual labor. He's most definitely the kind of person who will want to loaf on the job. The man who wanted to loaf on the job sneezed. He sat in the dimness for a short while, wondering if he had caught a cold. Suddenly, the door was pushed open and a rotund figure strode in. Shi Hongxian marveled in wonder the moment he entered. This place sure is fine. Even the Jinyi Wei won't be able to figure it out. Without turning his head back, Shenzhequan said, just a dilapidated house with a courtyard that no one wants to rent. That's the only good thing about it. But this compound isn't easy to get your hands on. Shi Hongxian rubbed his hands and sat down. He looked at Shenzhequan. This was the old courtyard that the former emperor bestowed to the crown prince, who then awarded it to Qi Huilian. It was later sold away after Qi Huilian's death. How did you get your hands on it? Shenzhequan sipped his tea as he exchanged a meaningful look with Shi Hongxian for a moment. Shi Hongxian raised his hand unhurriedly and said, look at this cheap mouth of mine, always trying to pry into others' backgrounds. I heard on the way here earlier that Pan Rugui was hit, too. This move of yours is truly delightful. Eldest young master Shi is the commander-in-chief of the 8 training divisions. Shenzhequan said. After this incident, he will rouse the Empress Dowager's suspicions. His life in the days ahead will not be easy. I'll feel good if Shi Guan has a hard time. Shi Hongxian placed his fleshy palms on the table and said, instead of waiting for the major figures in the imperial court to say a word, we might as well get the students to do so first as a preemptive move. After this incident, you could be said to be truly released. Shenzhequan took the chopsticks and picked up some vegetarian food, just a small trick. I've made a mockery out of myself before second young master Shi. Shi Hongxian watched Shenzhequan eat before he touched his own chopsticks. He said, what are you going to do in the future? I'll just try to get by in the Jinyi Way. Shenzhequan said, Jilei is Pan Rugui's godson and Shi Guan's sworn brother. You want to kill Shi Guan, but how are you going to get past Jilei? Why not you and I split their lives each among us and let them be good friends even in the afterlife? Shi Hongxian sniggered for a moment. He leaned over the table and asked Shenzhequan sinisterly, what's your grudge with Jilei? Shenzhequan picked away the Sichuan peppers. Without even lifting his eyelids, he said, I don't like those shoes he's wearing. End chapter. Qiang Jin Jiu. Book 1, I Was an Outcast Liege. Chapter 18, Donkey Roast. Xiao Qiye had a quiet time for half a month before he finally received a reply from Ji Lei informing him that the matter of the military drill ground was a done deal. He immediately headed out of the city with Chen Yang to take a look at the place. It was a piece of wasteland that was originally a mass burial site. The platform used for execution by decapitation was later shifted away to another place, and so this place became empty. Although Mount Feng stands between it and the city, Chen Yang dismounted the horse, sized up the area and continued, "It's a bit too far. We just have to run for 3 hours before dawn to reach it." Xiao Qiye pointed his horsewhip at one end. "We have to treat those wily old men from the Ministry of Works to a good meal to cobble together some materials so that we can fill up this side. Tidy it up a little and make do with it. This place is so remote that even the patrols of the 8 great training divisions will not make it here. Viceroy, for us to spend money on them." Chen Yang said, "I can't even say how uncomfortable that makes me feel." "Hold it in even if you are uncomfortable." Xiao Qiye said. "Even if they squat on our heads to pee on us, we still have to fix up this place." "All right." Chen Yang did not dare to say another word. Xiao Qiye stayed until it was evening before he rode his horse back. The moment he entered the city, he saw Liege and Heng's guard waiting for him at the entrance. "What's the matter?" Xiao Qiye reined in his horse and asked. The guard paid his respects and said, "His Highness has organized a feast at Qiang Tavern on Donglong Street. He's waiting for your excellency to go over for a meal." Xiao Qiye thought for a moment, then spurred his horse over. The main street of Donglong Street faced Kaling River. Lanterns blazed the moment night fell. Wine taverns and pleasure houses flanked both sides of the street, while all kinds of gaily painted pleasure boats and small, light boats were parked on the river. Xiao Qiye dismounted his horse at Qiang Tavern. The shopkeeper followed at his beck and call and personally led him up in an upstairs room. It was only when he raised the curtain for a look that he realized that this feast was not going to be simple. Everyone present at the feast was either well-known or young masters whose fathers or elder brothers were working as governmental officials. Next to Prince Chu was a fair-faced little eunuch who looked delicate and pretty. This should be the grandson that Pan Rugui had found for himself again after Xiao Fusui's death. "Cian is here." Li Jianheng called out to him. "Come and take a seat. We're waiting for you." Xiao Qiye picked a vacant seat at random to sit. He said with a smile, "What a large turnout. Let me introduce. This is Pen Gonggong's grandson, Feng Quan, Feng Gonggong." Li Jianheng said to Feng Quan, "This is my good friend, the second young master of the Liege Xiao clan, and the viceroy of the imperial army, Xiao Xian." Feng Quan was more pleasing to the eye than Xiao Fusui had been. He bowed respectfully to Xiao Qiye and said, "I've heard a lot about the viceroy." Shi Hongxian sat opposite them with one leg crossed over the other. He took up 2 seats and was so warm that his plump face was perspiring profusely. He said, "Let's dispense with the formalities. Your Highness, which other guest has yet to arrive today? If everyone is here, let's start the feast." Li Jianheng raised his eyebrows at Xiao Qiye and said, "I have also invited a distinguished guest whom everyone wants to meet." Xiao Qiye was baffled by his unexpected gesture. Just then, he heard the waiter behind him lift the curtain and announce, "The distinguished guest has arrived." Everyone at the feast fell silent. Xiao Qiye looked back just in time to see Shenzequan, dressed in his Jinyue robe, striding in. Shenzequan was visibly stupefied on seeing him. However, his expression was so blatant that Xiao Qiye did not believe it at all. Everyone present knew that there was discord between them. For a moment, the atmosphere became strange. Those waiting to watch the drama exchanged meaningful glances at one another. Li Jianheng said warmly, "This is Shen Lanzhou. Everyone knows who he is, right? Lanzhou, take a seat. Shopkeeper, start the feast." Xiao Qiye felt that Li Jianheng must have been possessed to invite Shen Zequin over just because of that pretty face of his. Of all places to sit, Shen Zequin just had to pick the seat beside Xiao Qiye. Both men looked at each other as he sat down. So, this is Shen Lanzhou, whose name has been making waves in the Chu capital lately. Shi Hongxian looked askance at Shen Zequin. Seeing is truly believing. I heard that Lanzhou's, Li Jianheng said, mother was an unparalleled beauty in the Duan province back then. Shen Wei had to stake half of his princely residence before he won her heart. So how could Lanzhou not be born pretty? A scattering of laughter rose in the room. Everyone openly and surreptitiously glanced at Shen Zequin's face. Even Feng Quan made noises of appreciation and lamented, if this master had been born a female. Then what will the lady of the Hua clan be good for? The group of rich young masters tacitly burst into laughter. Out of the corner of his eye, Xiao Qiye saw Shen Zequin with his head partially lowered. He could not read the latter's emotions. The nape of this man's neck was shrouded under the dim light of the glazed lamp beside him. It extended under his collar like white jade, looking as if one could taste ecstasy by kneading it, waiting defenselessly for someone to make a move. The contours of his side profile were smooth and beautiful, and the arch of the bridge of his nose was gorgeous. The corners of his eyes were the most devastating, everything that could make one's heart itch all lay within them. A faint hint of a smile followed as those corners curved upward. Xiao Qiye took another look. Shen Zequin was indeed smiling. Have you mistaken me for someone else? Shen Zequin tilted his eyes towards Xiao Qiye. Just looking at you in a different light. Xiao Qiye retracted his gaze. Shen Zequin raised his eyes and smiled subserviently at the various gentlemen present at the feast. He said, I'm just of average looks. Everyone has been too kind to me. On hearing his words, those who were still carrying themselves with decorum loosened up. The more they spoke, the more vulgar their words became. Shi Hongxian said, wasn't there a new trick that had come into vogue recently on Donglong Street? It's called playing with cups. Fill up a golden cup with top-grade wine and place it in the fragrant chew of a beauty and pass it around to drink for fun. Your Highness, have you played it before? Li Jianheng laughed and said, I have the wine, but I can't find a beauty. Shi Hongxian motioned flippantly, isn't one sitting right here? All along, Shen Zequin looked as if he was not acquainted with him. He forced a smile and said, I'm not worthy of the beauty title. If everyone really wants to have fun, then I'll invite everyone to the brothel tonight to play to your heart's content. When all is said and done, Shen Zequin still had the Hua clan to back him up. On seeing this, the others did not dare to push it. Only Shi Hongxian seemed as if his 8 characters conflicted with Shen Zequin's. The more ruckus he created, the uglier the situation became. There had been news lately that Shi Guan had lost favor with the Empress Dowager, so all of them simply thought that Shi Hongxian was venting his anger on Shen Zequin on behalf of his elder brother. Shen Zequin was about to speak when he suddenly heard Xiao Qiye say beside him, how can you ask His Highness Prince Chu to play what others have played before? This drinking from shoes and playing with cups is such an old game from centuries ago. Even the prostitutes in the south aren't interested in it. How about we try a different way of playing? Second young master Shi, take off your shoes so we can use them as boats to fool around with. Those at the feast roared with laughter. Shi Hongxian was obese, and his feet were much bigger than that of an average man. No one usually dared to bring it up, so they did not expect Xiao Qiye to poke fun at it. That works too. Shi Hongxian rolled with it and graciously raised his legs. He ordered, men, remove my shoes. Li Jianheng started to have fun and cussed a few words. Shen Zequin did not expect Xiao Qiye to help him out of a fix either. He and Shi Hongxian had been putting on a show. He looked at Xiao Qiye again. Xiao Qiye ignored him and picked up his chopsticks to grab some food to eat. The little eunuch, Feng Quan, sat for a moment. When he saw that the dishes were more or less served, he said, having fun is a matter for you gentlemen here. So let me add another dish for everyone tonight." As he spoke, he clapped his hands. The waiters downstairs, who were already prepared a long time ago, hurriedly entered to serve the dish. However, this dish was a small donkey that was still alive. Feng Quan said, "Of all the delicacies in the world, donkey meat is the best. Gentlemen, have you ever tried donkey roast?" The noise in the room died down. Everyone looked at the donkey in the center. Liege asked, "What's a donkey roast?" The waiters dumped some soil on the ground and deftly made a small circular plot of land out of the soil. They chased the donkey onto the soil and buried its forehooves in it so that the donkey's belly was touching the soil. Then, they covered the donkey with a thick padded quilt. "Gentlemen," Feng Quan said amicably, "watch." A waiter was half crouched as he took the ladle and scooped out the boiling soup that came fresh out of the pot and poured it all over. Those assisting beside him held down the quilt and wiped it down over the head of the braying donkey to scald off its fur while it was still alive. But they were still not done. The waiter who had poured the boiling soup set aside the ladle and gouged the meat out of the seared donkey's body. The meat was placed in the dish, and the man by the side of the stove roasted it on the spot. After he was done, he passed the plate one at a time to everyone present. The braying of the donkey grew even more tragic. Even the people downstairs were alarmed. The color drained from Li Jianheng's face. He looked at this donkey meat and covered his nose and mouth to say, "Feng Gong Gong, isn't this dish a little too? Your Highness, why don't you try it first? This donkey meat is the most delicious when it is gouged out right after boiling soup has been poured over it. Food must be eaten fresh." Feng Quan pointed out. "There's a meaning to this donkey roast. Let's take a certain person as an example. If said person were to fall into the hands of others, then he must put himself at the mercy of others. If the master tells him to kneel, he must kneel. If the master wants him to cry, he must cry. And if the master is eyeing his flesh, he must let others gouge him like this." Shenzequan's situation was like this donkey. He looked at the blood-stained quilt. The blood trickled into the soil until the stench of it permeated the air. It was as if he was looking at Jimu and himself 5 years ago. Excellent taste. Shi Hongxian ate a few slices. He seemed like he did not grasp the meaning behind and was only concerned about proclaiming how much of a thrill it was. All this time, Shenzequan's chopsticks did not move, while Xiao Qiye's chopsticks never touched the meat. Li Jianheng felt something odd about those words when he heard it. He said apprehensively, "It's really too depraved. Take it away." "Hold on." Feng Quan finally looked at Shenzequan. "Young Master Shen, my godfather was the one who specifically asked me to serve this dish. Why aren't you eating it?" Pan Rugui was his god-grandfather, so by extension, Ji Lei could really be considered his godfather. Exactly what connection or backing did this lad have for him to get Pan Rugui's favor and trust this quickly? Not only did he take over Xiao Fusui's duties, he even got into Ji Lei's good graces. Ji Lei could not kill Shenzequan. And now that Shenzequan had come under his command, he could not touch him either. Coming up with such a low-down way to humiliate Shenzequan tonight was to make it clear that the grudge between them was not over. Shenzequan picked up the chopsticks. Before Shenzequan could finish his words, the chair beside him was suddenly pushed aside as Xiao Qi rose to his feet. He picked up the plate containing the donkey meat and flung it in Feng Quan's direction. It crashed to the ground with a clatter. Li Jianheng hurriedly stood up and said, "See, Ian." Xiao Qi stared at Feng Quan. Whoever Feng Quan wanted to humiliate on Ji Lei's behalf was not something he could interfere with. But he, Xiao Qi, was also a caged beast right this hour and day. He was no different from this donkey. This was a slap in his face too. And it hurt. Feng Quan looked at him in puzzlement and asked, "Is it not to the viceroy's liking?" Xiao Qiye pressed his thumb down on the hilt of Longli blade at the side of his waist. Screams rose in the entire room as he drew his blade. His hand rose, and the blade fell to decapitate the donkey, killing it and making its miserable braying ceased immediately. Blood seeped out of the soil onto the ground, turning the floor vividly red. The others all held their breath, not knowing what Xiao Qiye would do next. With his back to the dim light, Xiao Qiye wiped the edge of his blade clean with the tablecloth. Only then did he casually turn around and smiled at all those present and said, "Gentlemen, please continue." Liege Unhung stared at his blade and said softly, "Xian. Xian, put that away." Xiao Qiye put the blade back into its sheath and threw a look at Feng Quan. He raised his foot to lift a chair over and sat unreservedly in the middle. Then he ordered, "Roast it all together. I'll be here tonight to watch Feng Gonggong eat." In the end, Feng Quan called for his sedan chair and left in a hurry. Liege Unhung drank some wine and wept as he spoke to Xiao Qiye, "Xian, I really didn't think of this. Who would know that castrated crook was too despicable? We are friends. You mustn't let this matter hurt our friendship." Xiao Qiye tugged at the corners of his mouth and said, "There's a distinction between those close to you and those distant from you. I understand. You go on ahead first." Liege Unhung tugged at his sleeves, wanting to say more. Xiao Qiye simply got Chen Yang to stuff Liege Unhung into the sedan. "Send Prince Chu back." Xiao Qiye said. "I'll walk back myself." In no way would Chen Yang ramble on when he saw the unhappiness in Xiao Qiye's expression, so he got on his horse and left with Prince Chu's sedan. Xiao Qiye stood alone under a lantern. After a moment, he kicked over somebody else's potted plant. The potted plant, which was worth a lot of money, tumbled on the ground and hit the bottom of the stairs. A hand gently held it up. Shenzhequan stood on the stairs and said unperturbedly, "Are you that rich? You'll have to pay for this, you know." Xiao Qiye replied coldly, "I have lots of money." With that, he felt around his waist. But it was empty. Shenzhequan waited for a while, then turned to the shopkeeper and said, "Put it on this young master's tab. He has lots of money." End chapter. Note: the dish, or a variation of it, mentioned in this chapter is one of the top 10 forbidden dishes in China known as huojiaolu, meaning lip-braying donkey. The animal would have its legs tied and its body held down, while the chef would cut its body and serve it immediately to the diners, who then ate it along with the ear-splitting cries of the animal. A variation of this dish is called jiaoluro, or water donkey meat, where the donkey's skin would be pulled off, and boiling water poured on its raw flesh until it is cooked alive.